Tim O'Malley with Tim Priester for Irish Illustrated. We had a chance to talk to both Clark Lea and Chip Long today, the Notre Dame's coordinators. And Tim, I thought Clark Lea made an interesting comment saying we almost have to tighten up the defensive structure and his teaching methods because last year Tavon Coney or Jerry Tillery could take a wrong step and it didn't really matter. He would just simply chase down a play.
Yeah, he wants his players to understand that when he corrects something, it's a conversation. It's not an accusation per se. So, that's understandable. It's a young group. Defensive ends. That's not a young group. In fact, that was probably the one area we didn't talk about guys specifically because we know what those.
They're really good.
Yeah, they're really good. Defensive tackle. I asked about that specifically because the whole Notre Dame world is concerned about the depth there. But he thinks that there's talent there, which is something that Brian Kelly said, and he also expressed that Hunter Spears would, I don't know if we're jumping the gun on that, but he will be back in the mix by this summer. Jamian Franklin is probably a little bit further down the road. He didn't specifically say Howard Cross, but I'm speculating that Howard Cross comes in and plays 3 technique.
Yeah, I think when he mentioned that doesn't really keep him up at night. Defensive tackle depth now it might as we get into August if another body goes down. But one spot where it seems like open competition, but one they're really excited about is Houston Griffith moving to boundary corner. I asked if that move was twofold, as I kind of suspected, that there's a lot of belief in the safeties. He said this is about Houston Griffith because he believes he has elite traits at that position.
Yeah, that word jumps out at you when he says elite traits. And, I know Notre Dame fans didn't necessarily see that playing nickel, but you can see where the transition to boundary would be good for him. And the conversation also went to Avery Davis. He said a lot of positive things about him as well.
Well, I thought the most important thing about Davis was how competitive he is, how they're going to, he's going to learn both boundary and field, then you find a place where he can compete, and that it's a guy that he has kind of been searching. He's the type of player that Clark Lea secretly wants to move to his defense when he watches him play offense.
He spoke glowingly about Avery Davis, so that's really encouraging. And let's set the record straight here. It was 2 coordinators saying many positive things about their players today. But when you hear somebody gush like that about a guy that last year at this time, he said when they're looking at tape, they see Avery Davis throwing passes. Now he's trying to intercept them. It's encouraging, and there's a lot of competition back there. We know that, but to hear that in the early stages of the spring about Avery Davis, and especially Houston Griffith, because that's a position of serious need, and he believes he has the skills to play it.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of a unique way of putting it, a way of going about spring practice, that they don't know who's going to start at linebacker, so they've almost put them in tandem. He said tandem and pairing. It's probably trio, where they are rolling them out there to see what they can do as a unit. So when we say first, second, third unit, it's probably not first, second, third unit. It's just groups they're looking at.
Well, or at least for that day anyway. Yeah. But it's completely understandable that, and he doesn't want to have a depth chart now. He said players feel the need to know where they are in the depth chart, and that's certainly natural. But as they go through spring, especially in the early stages of it, there is no depth chart. And, then you really find out about a player then. Okay, the third string guy's not pouting. The first string guy is, in a position of complacency. It's wide open. You have to be on top of your game for every rep.
And the final place that's not wide open is at safety. I actually tried to hint along is the Houston Griffith move, because you love your backup safeties. It's not necessarily it. It's that guys like Houston Griffith can start, and guys like Derek Allen and Paul Moala are coming along. And I thought, even though the focus kind of shifted away from their development, I think there's enough there where he thinks maybe we cannot have Jalen Elliott and Elohi Gilman take 1,700 snaps combined next season.
I think that's true, and I think Moala's a kid that even in the high school ranks, they realized that they were recruiting somebody that had really good football instincts. Derek Allen came along a little bit more slowly, but he's at a good 220 this spring, and the way we understand it, he's getting some top reps as well. But Gilman with the abdominal injury. He doesn't know exactly when he'll be back, and he does need reps. He's not that experienced of a player, as he said, and Jalen Elliott's leadership, as you wrote about the other day, is really stepping forward.
We had about 30 minutes with Clark Lea, and we'll have more on Clark Lea and the Irish defense in our Irish Illustrated Insider on Friday.